Yeah, he was on there.
Yeah.
He was a song on there.
He's been there every time I look at the screen, pretty much.
Yeah, no, he's,
But I thought he had work at the same time as his Zooms.
once in a while, he said he would have work once in a while.
No, I should be at work right now. I didn't want to miss 2 in a row.
I could be at work and just watch the Zoom. I don't do anything at night.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You know, the worst thing about having classes in person, I didn't get to eat dinner tonight. I had to drive straight here.
Hey, I like in-person classes. I get to go to In-N-Out after.
Were you here when we gave out the,
Yeah.
Japanese
If I have
coffee?
one, I'll never sleep.
oh, yeah, well, there's some, biscotti and
Well,
power bars.
You're on In-N-Out real fast.
You could go to In-N-Out. Yeah, I guess you could go in fast. You couldn't drive too fast.
I went on Monday and there was like no one in the drive-thru. I'm like, I should have just gone through the drive-thru. There was no one in there.
Wow.
oh, that's-
No, it was like
Hello.
almost 8:30, I guess,
oh,
on Monday. Normally,
After class.
after class,
Yeah.
normally there's
Wow.
a ton of.
Usually it's just 24/7 or whatever their hours are. I noticed a gap in the Starbucks line. That's usually always full too.
Yeah.
That was 7th class, because we didn't have a Zoom for 6, because that was midterm, right?
Well, I put down some class on it. But I put it on this. I counted my classes, so I don't know why I had.
No, 9th class.
Yeah, because
Almost class, yeah.
Really?
Well, the summer section, I'm not gonna be here till last week.
Oh,
yeah,
I-
it was 9 on this thing, but
yeah, no, you're right. I was just doubting you. I finished my cabinet,
all right.
now I'm getting them installed.
Do they look like a piano?
Oh, yes.
My boss's brother, he works at El Cap with us, and everything's a piano for him. Everything has to be a piano. He used to be a countertop guy. He
Oh,
put
yeah.
in countertops in Orange County. He builds cabinets as a side job. Everything has to be a piano to.
Yeah, it's usually a joke, right? It's not a piano. Don't worry about it. With him, everything's a piano.
A grand piano at that. Grand piano. That's perfect.
Yeah, a 300-year-old grand piano.
Now he just jokes around. He knows nothing's gonna be perfect. Especially out there, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Hey, just clicking save, well, the problem with the announcements before is we never uploaded the videos, right? It wasn't that the announcement didn't go out. As long as you click save, the announcement goes out, right?
Well, they weren't, when I went to announcement, they weren't on the announcement file, in the
Huh.
announcement file.
We're getting notifications about the classes.
Yeah. Did you get this one?
Yeah, we got it right now.
No, okay. I think Muscle Patrick is on the wall.
Yeah. Right.
We have nails to put sheathing on.
We do, we have hand sinkers, 8-penny sinkers. We're just gonna put minimal on because we gotta take it off. So, yeah. Hey, and I got the Larry Hahn video that everybody's so in love with. And I
Oh, is
previewed
he doing it? Is he hand nailing the?
the whole
sheathing too?
frickin' roof, he and his brothers, not a gun in sight.
I like how he says tuba for. Tuba.
Yeah. He's from the South, he's a great guy though. But, you know, I like looking at it because that's the way I used to work. You know, these are old movies, yeah, I think he's dead by now, but
Yeah.
that's the way it was when I started framing, so I get nostalgic when I look at it. But, you know, he gets those 16s in, sometimes with one hit, and never more than 2.
Yeah, he went waxed him up.
And he's just a skinny, wait till you see him, he's just a skinny little, well, he's not really, he's about 8 foot tall, but he's really thin, but he's 8 foot tall? No. He's like, well, it's hard to tell how tall he is because he's so thin, he looks,
Yeah.
he must be at least 6 something, but these arms, and I've been doing it for probably 30 years by the time I made the movie, but it's really fun to watch because he's so skilled. You know?
Weren't the nails made different?
Yeah, well, the sinkers have
They're
a
easier.
coating,
Yeah,
but you know, even trying to get a sinker in with one, because you gotta be coordinated too, right? So you
Yeah.
don't bend it. So I can do it, I could always do it with two. I never got to one. I'm not that big, but when I was doing it with two, it was when I'd been framing for several years in a row. Now it can take me like 20 now.
Yeah.
You guys, some of you guys could probably do it with two, but
building a shed with my dad, and he's like, we're hand nailing stuff. He's like, I can get that in with one hit. I'm like 13, I can't. That's not possible.
what's interesting in the movie is because there's impact when you nail, there's a gun, and there's no impact.
Yeah.
It knocks over things. So he's always putting blocks or something to hit against, you know, I mean, they go that way, but he's always does it in the order, so he's hitting against. So it determines everything he does, the sequence of all he does. So it's interesting, but he does most of them do everything the same except for the raptor tails. He snaps a line, but he has a jig with the angle on it, and he just marks them. But that actually doesn't account if the rafters have a different crown, then that line they won't all be the same crumb.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass to take a level and do it, but if you want it perfect, he probably only works with really straight wood, so it's probably not an issue. Otherwise,
I grabbed the power plane this morning, if you still wanted to do that.
you grabbed it?
Yeah, I grabbed my power plane and I brought it.
Oh, nah.
Wow.
Well, maybe, but nah.
All that work.
We could do it on the hip and plate. You know, you can't get the bottom and the top where it hits. We could just do a couple of feet. Yeah, that would work. I don't want to take it down and do it like you're supposed to do it on the bench,
Yeah,
but, yeah. Thanks. Think of that. Hello.
How's it going?
We good. So, stuff I want to talk about, I need everybody here, but I'll start with you guys, the faithful ones. I want to talk about, you have a question?
Well, I want to show you this tiny house.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
bitchin', isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
My client's tenants have that.
Yeah, that's really nice. Who made it?
I don't know. It was they worked for like a wildlife fund thing, and they toured around in this thing.
Yeah.
But
that's-
it just sold for 70 or
Yeah.
75,000.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
You know, if you're gonna tour, you're going in places like, you know, your environmental or something, you could run, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's so much
on
nicer than
wheels.
that. Yeah, because it comes close, much closer to a home than anything else.
Yeah.
I want to talk briefly about classes coming up. So Rodney's CT 115, I believe that's it, summer 2, has got 7 people in it. So is anybody here planning on taking that class? And are you all signed up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Who's planning on taking it that isn't signed up yet? You're gonna take it? Okay, so that's 8. I've got all 7 here signed up. That's perfect.
Is that enough? Is it gonna run?
Well, it'll need 15. But
Hey, Patrick, I'm signed up too.
Down to 14.
yeah.
So,
Michael's saying he's signed up. Signed up too,
oh,
yeah.
he signed up, yeah.
I need to sign up too.
Oh, he needs to sign it.
Oh, he needs to, okay, so that's,
No, that's Joshua, different person. So
Yeah,
Michael- Joshua-
Michael Silva signed up.
So that'll be 9.
Joshua's on there?
Yeah,
Oh, so that's 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, I'm not allowed there for 24 hours.
Well, it's as good if I know you're gonna do it. I just have to figure out how much I have to hustle before then. We've got 3. What's between the classes, a week or 2? Anybody know?
There's none.
I think it just jumps.
For the
up.
next weekend?
Oh, really?
I think there's 2 weeks left of this class after this week, right? And then
Yeah.
it goes straight in.
Really,
John.
a couple weeks after the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 weeks.
Actually, I thought he was talking about fall semester. I'm signed up
So
for
it's-
Rodney's, I think it's CT 119.
Yeah, so it's 2.5 weeks away.
So I'm not signed up for summer two.
Are you planning on signing up for summer two then?
No, yeah, that was my bad. I thought you meant for fall semester.
Yeah, I guess we are pretty-
You should sign up for summer two, so we don't all.
So, if he's got to, who was that talking, Mike or
Yeah,
Josh?
Michael.
Does he need it?
Do you need it, Michael? Or are you done?
No, I don't need it. Sorry, I thought you were talking about fall.
But he's already taken it?
He's already taken it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll ask her. Well, here comes, I think, is that Carla? I mean, there's a few that are still not in class, so we'll ask them. I mean, everyone helps it out. I never give up. I never get discouraged.
Didn't you say that you were gonna run this class with just 10?
Well, I was gonna try to, but
You tried to, but people kept signing up for it.
they kept signing up and then, and my dean knew that. What a bastard. And, it's okay. I mean, I'm not worried because I'm vaccinated, although I could be the 2% that's not covered. But I don't want you guys to get infected from each other, but, you know, we're distancing and masking, so I think we're okay. Carla, have you taken 115, the cabinet making class? Yeah, I thought you might. Okay.
Unless everyone remembers, you get pizza in it. Well, you might like a good pizza now. I don't know if you're gonna go to Rodney's shop. He takes everyone to the shop. He's there.
Probably a good shot. It's a standby. Well, it's a good thing, you know, for cabin class. Good to see a professional shop. He doesn't teach enough. Well, he may have changed. I don't go to his class, but he doesn't teach enough making cabinets on your own, you know, because professionally it's rarely done that way. But it's nice to know how to do it for yourself. You know?
You think you can make a case to Alan to run it with only 10 people?
Well, the only leverage I have on Alan is for a couple of you, it's your last class to graduate. And I'll say, look, I'm not gonna offer it for another year. I'll just lie and say, you wouldn't have a student wait around a year, would you? They used to, at one time that worked, but you know,
Probably just waive it.
Well,
yeah,
couldn't
he just,
you just switch it up with one in the fall, just cancel one of the fall classes?
well, but you think there'd be more people coming in fall?
Might give people more time to.
I mean, if we cancel it, that's what we'll do, we'll run it in fall. So the people who wanted to get out of here in summer would have to go one more semester. That's the worst case. But I haven't given up yet. You know, usually these things don't fill up until a week before, 3 days before, so. But I'm gonna have Jim, I'll write that down, have Jim talk to his,
Hasn't it already been moved once though?
We got canceled last.
Yeah.
No, we moved this class. didn't we?
yeah, I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know what, you know, maybe we don't have enough new people that need it. You know, we've got people like Carlin that are just about done, but they don't need that one in particular.
We get all the people that just graduated from the high schools and haven't even thought about summer sessions yet.
Is anybody here? No, Jim's doing a non-credit class right now. How about, I think Dennis is, Dennis is probably taken 115.
Yeah.
And you have, right?
Yeah, you get those high schoolers on the promise to just sign up for the first like week or two and then drop it by the top deadline.
115 is the beginning class, right?
114.
114 is?
I use 114.
Because if you take high school wood shop, you already get it. You already got 114. Because
I know it's not the same.
Even though you don't really do.
I hated to give him
Creative.
credit, but everybody hounded me from one end to the other. Oh, they're taking the class and then they take it over again in college, you know. I would have rather given them $20 for taking it when they get here. Here's $20 for taking that class. Now you gotta take this one over. It's just a longer class and it's more intense. But for years, I put it off and the counselors everywhere at City College said, oh, Patrick, you know, they gotta take it again. And I said, yeah.
I don't know why they just don't call it wood shop in high school, because you don't really do any
Well,
construction here.
Well, I have a 104, that's the beginning one there, and that doesn't, and in fact, that, they talked me into giving credit for, I don't know, 110 or something, which is crazy. After a while, you just give in, you know. 'cause-
When is 114 gonna be offered again?
Well, not in fall, maybe in spring. Because we're still trying to catch up, you know, to get people out.
Yeah.
And that'll carry over into at least the first. So, okay, so the part 2 of this is, wait, who just came in?
I did.
Oh, yeah, Jen, no, we know about your class, what you've taken, so. We're talking about getting people to sign up for 115 and summer 2. So that brings up fall. And remember, we talked about doing 124 building performance or 112 framing.
Yeah.
So does anybody need either of those? Is it,
Building performance.
does anybody need any of those to finish their
I did,
cycle here? You need one of those?
I did building performance.
One, you never took that?
No.
Are you
I was,
sure?
Yeah, I was, like a day late or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, sorry.
Remember you interviewed?
Remember?
Yeah, you wanna give me that phone?
I couldn't do anything at that point.
Oh, understood. That's what I need.
Yeah, I remember now. So, okay, so is that the last one you're taking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And everybody else needs 124, right?
Remember talking about holding a student back for a year?
So who needs 112 to finish?
That's framing.
Nobody. So you don't care. You're gonna be here a while. Usually if you haven't done those, you've probably got a handful left. Is that right?
Yeah.
So shall we do 120? Let's do 124 in fall. Is that what no, that's not what I have to change it. Is that all right, or is that,
measuring and calculating in the fall
yeah,
and building performance?
yeah. And 110 and 110. And if we can get another class, and I haven't talked recently, I don't know how the school is financially. If we can do another class, then we can, when I find out, which I'll try to find out in the next few weeks, then we could plan on either doing 112 or even another one that you all want to do ahead of time.
Green building, the building green.
Do you need 112?
Yeah.
What?
That's it.
Shit.
Oh, so you do need 112, so we got both. And what were you guys saying when you had your hands up?
Building green or green.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be in spring.
Oh, it'll be a spring. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, green building will be in spring. Well, okay, so. Are you sure, Carla? Because you get mixed up about the classes you need, right?
No, I already.
Okay,
checked right
you're
here. I
positive?
got 110, 114, 115, 116, 111, 118, 122, 124.
Does anyone actually need measuring and calculating
Yeah, great, freaking great, okay.
to graduate?
To graduate?
Is that a required class?
But I mean, not,
Are you taking building performance?
Why don't you scrap that one and then you teach it in spring? Because I've heard
Yeah.
you're a good teacher. right?
that'd be
So
great.
maybe
I'd love to
exactly.
do it. I don't know if they'll let me do 2 classes. And
Which class?
green building's a big one too, it doubles.
Which class?
Measuring and calculating.
Oh. I don't know, Rodney might be fun for.
Well,
measuring and
if-
You've
calculating.
never taught it before.
If 115 doesn't fly, he'll do that in fall and
think there's like 8 people in that one right now, though, for fall, it might run.
Who needs 115 to graduate?
Which one?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well,
The cabinet, yeah, okay, so we'll really try to get it in we really need to get it in summer, see how it stacks up? You just get a slight under enrollment, class gets chopped, and then the next 2 semesters are held because everybody wants all the classes at once. And I really apologize, it has to do with the financial situation, the deans are holding everybody really tight to make sure their classes pay for themselves. Because we're that strapped as an institution. In the old days, when we had more money, you know, they would let us drop a little bit, you know, to keep on time or whatever, but they're pretty strict now. We'll see.
I wonder if you could make a case for COVID, and then also I heard that the way the college gets paid has changed. So it's not paid by how many students you have in the class, they get paid by each person that actually gets a certificate or a degree. So,
You heard that?
yeah, it just changed this last year. So you might be able to make a stronger case for, hey,
Yeah.
these guys need this to get the degrees, so the college can get paid.
Wow.
So we need these classes to get run. Yeah, so the college is making even less money.
Yeah, I'll talk with Mike. Mike probably know about that. If not,
Who pays the college?
Federal government
no, state government.
or state.
Yeah, mostly states. Yeah, oh, good. Glad you brought that up. I'll check that out.
I think they get some federal money though, because like you
Yeah.
do federal work study.
They do get some federal.
Yeah,
But yeah, it used to come from, mostly from the state on the basis of enrollment.
you should come up with extra certificates that students can get,
Yeah.
you know, instead of one associate, one certificate, have, you know, 2 other ones.
Yeah, well,
or
they've
some-
been kind of heading toward completion rather than.
Some
enrollment.
awards, skills competency awards maybe or something.
Yeah, they've been heading that way because they realized that was a better criteria, but I didn't realize they were that close to doing it. Well, that's good. So, okay, I'll work on this and report back. Next week.
If summer 2 doesn't apply, is there any way I can bypass? Is there,
Possibly,
because I've been waiting 6 months. I mean, the
Yeah,
class is supposed to
possibly.
be-
yeah. Especially you.
You can get it waived,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially since you've already been working in the industry.
Just say, hey, I've been working for Raj.
I'm not putting that. Yeah, I could write you an essay on the fine points of
Yeah,
capital.
yeah, yeah.
making.
Oh, there we go.
But you're not the only one who needs one. Who else needs 115? Carla?
You should do an independent
I need
study and build a.
But I mean,
shade
graduate.
structure on each
Anybody need
I would
115 to
do it.
graduate
Yeah.
besides
one.
John?
I definitely, that'd be a lot of fun.
Sweet.
Yeah, I can look into that.
As long as you guys pay for the wood, that.
Oh, yeah, we'll take it.
No, that'd be.
Okay.
Yeah. oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll keep, this is important, so we'll keep visiting this as we find out more. Okay, take out your, your thing with the tables on the back. So our addition out there has got a span of 6 feet, right? Instead of the 8 feet of the main building. So we got to find the rafter length for that again, anew. So look on your table and it's a 6-foot span. So tell me what that length's gonna be.
4 feet, 4 inches, and 5/16.
It's a 6-foot span, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's span, the whole width of that little room is 6 feet, so it's span 6 feet, so, and it's 6 feet even, so it would be 3 foot 1 15/16. All right?
Is that for the commons or the Hitler Valley rafters?
No, the common, we're talking about, yeah, good question, we're talking about the commons for the new thing, so it'll be on the left-hand
Right.
column, yeah, and then it'll be across from 6, so, and you don't need the inch column because it's even. So 3 foot 1 and 15/16. And then we can go ahead and subtract 3/4 from that. And get 3 foot 1 and 3/16. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, today, I brought a log with me. Write it down. So when you guys are cutting this.
You bought an iPad?
No, we're doing it the old school way, the good but old school way. Okay. Now we're getting smart. Now I won't have Aurelio making fun of me constantly.
Don't make fun of me.
So-
Remind me that you got a radio here.
Okay. So, we're gonna go out and got a lot of, we got a bunch of rafters to put on. We gotta cut 4 of these new ones. We're gonna cut the ridge for that. I couldn't find a 2x8, so we're gonna cut a 2x10 down to a 2x8. And then we'll put, I'm hoping to get all the rafters around the California. No, all the rafters on the regular body where the California is gonna go. So tomorrow when we come and do the California, we won't have to do the plywood. If it gets late, it doesn't matter, we'll do it tomorrow. But that's why I got it today in case we have time. But I also want to come in after that. I'm hoping this will only take half the period and show you the Larry Hahn film, which will reinforce what you've been learning so far on common and hip. And then he also does the Californian. So we'll look at that ahead of time. If we don't finish that tonight, we'll look at it first thing tomorrow. So it's fresh in your mind when we go to do it. He does, his is there's a few differences which I'll point out, but it's only because the roofs are kind of a slightly different shape. So, ready? All right. Ah.
I should show Michael, that's right.
Yeah, Michael doesn't care. It's fine. He doesn't appreciate the hard work you put in. He's on Facebook anyway. So who replaced him when I was gone?
Me, well, he set the computer up, because I didn't know how to do it.
Was it sad finding out how little there was to replace?
Oh, what?
Was it sad finding out how little there was to replace?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good. Take a shot.
Okay, so.
No.
We don't need-
What?
Actually, put that
Yeah,
one on.
you got rid of a job, man.
Put in a new one, right?
We need to plug this in.
So we got enough.
Yeah.
So let me show you. Come on over here just a sec. Sister D next to it. But you know, space. I had to buy. So this was like too little. Still expensive. Just support. But it's what do it right, what the structural engineer demanded. So, this is an artificial setup, right? We've all figured that out by now. This is, this area here becomes an inside area, right? So we don't need the raptor tail going in here. So we're gonna cut these off right here because they'll be in our way. That one, see all these little ones are short, these are from before, they're cut, so they don't hang over the edge. So we can use those in here. And then I've got laid out, these are extra. And those two against there we can put up, those are just regular length. And yeah, so we'll kind of fill in, and that one there can be put on. So we'll kind of fill in and try to get as many raptors. So then, when we have the raptors up along here, we'll measure, I don't feel like doing fascia tonight, and the plywood normally goes on the, you put the fascia up and the plywood sits on the fascia. So we'll just pretend the fascia's on there and then we'll put the plywood, maybe just even with the, I went ahead and cut those. Those don't matter because we're only gonna sheet just past this thing. We're gonna sheet all the way down here because I want to show you how to sheet the hip part. So these will snap a line, cut, and maybe or maybe not with the fascia, but we'll start the plywood and get that up so that when we come back and go to do the California, the plywood will already be there. So when the plywood's there, we just put a rafter. And this is 8 feet, so we can use the old rafters for here too. And we'll use just a set there and a set right here. And then we'll put the ridge on that all the way onto the roof. Now in the film, it's a big old building he's doing. It's not a little dollhouse like this. And so he has the ridge, I think it's a garage that comes into the building. So he has the ridge already up. So he just stopped the ridge right here. And then he just gonna fill in a piece to go on California. Much easier to do that way, but I didn't have the advantage of doing that. So we're gonna do it as one piece. So you have to do it slightly different way. But yeah, the way he does it is the normal way because you'd have a roof already existing. Okay. So we don't need to cut any of the old and wrap. While we're waiting for us to cut. This. No, don't do those because you haven't laid out. Wait on it. I'll double check the layout. So these are the ones we're gonna do the 4 smaller ones. So probably, so what I need you to do, I need someone to go into the shop, the bag that has cameras in it on the floor. That one? Oh yeah, who's left that? None. We did. Thank you. Okay, so look around like this. Remove any nails that, see these got nails in them. Somebody's taken, just remove those 2 nails. And then we can get another saw going and someone could cut this off here and cut it, narrow it along that way. So there's a cord. They're using that there. All right. That's okay.
You want me to grab a cordless one, Pat?
Huh?
You want me to grab a cordless skill saw?
We could. That industrial, we could. So we said that was, really working. Real quick one.
Hey, John, how does it compare?
This one isn't super powerful. You can't
I'm gonna
install
leave
it
it
out.
where
But for most cuts and stuff, it's perfectly fine. I have a bigger one that's, 7 1/4 that takes power. Seems very similar.
Still battery.
Yeah, still battery. My only complaints with the cordless ones is they're so much lighter. They kind of jump when you start a little bit. And if you're doing nice cuts, sometimes I still get out the 41 and run it through. Nowadays, though, for most knife cuts, they got a track saw. And
No.
that's cordless fast tool, and that really, it's
Well, for
so
the last
nice
year and a
and
half,
easy,
things have
and
been
you
on
can
hold.
set it in a track, and I'm really
So we
happy
didn't
with that,
order
but
any
this one's
material,
great.
so we're kind of out of the weeds with hooking stuff. The process of
Yeah.
doing it.
This one, the guard, it hits back into the rubber bumper for the stop point, and the rubber smashes in, so the guard goes up slightly too far, and then it sticks, and you can't start it.
A little pricey. But, you know, it's you know, it's not as bad as it used to be. My original one was like 1,200 for like a cordless, no tracks, and the latest one. The latest one with 2 batteries and the track. I grabbed it. No, stuff over here. $800 for the tool, 2 batteries. 800 for a cordless fast tool.
Oh, no. Hey, can you write down the pin?
No.
The teacher doesn't have them. No, write down the name of the number of your nail gun.
The model number?
Or just, you know, how I can distinguish it.
He likes the Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He already has batteries for it.
Yeah, no, we already decided.
There's no sense in buying a new tool that gives you 1 battery. I buy DeWalt because I already have DeWalt. I grew up with DeWalt.
No sense in changing.
If I was starting out with brand new tools, like if my truck went up in flames right now, which could happen,
Can happen any moment now.
I might still buy DeWalt after, just because I like them.
No, I don't think that thing will ever die to Toyota.
Dude, there's an oil leak in.
You smell gas?
I don't smell gas. I smell oil. If I smelled gas, I wouldn't drive the thing. But if I drive it for long enough, you'll smell the oil when you step out. That was my brother. My brother doesn't know how to buy trucks.
No, he bought it.
His first truck was a really old Ford, and he did not think about that purchase at all.
I mean, you pop the hood, everything's probably got a duct tape. You know? There's a lot of duct tape under it.
Yeah. I mean, all the tubes and like had duct tape on it and stuff.
Oh, it's easy on the brake.
Feel about to get if I can put fake to the knee.
The rotor is
I
fine.
put a seatbelt on the handlebar so it holds it back.
The truck?
Yeah.
It's 2001.
Pump in, drain it out, so we got a little stack water.
A lot of holes.
Get the rest of the set, huh?
That's cool. Yeah, I bought a whole set, but I was looking at sets and I could not find any decent sets
Yeah.
when I was looking at Home Depot.
So, is this your,
That's it.
You like that? Yeah. No, it's the one.
7 1/4?
No, it's 6.5. You want a big 7 1/4?
Yeah, do they have it?
Yeah.
I'll look
Well,
at,
that's Milwaukee. Does Skill make one?
they do, but you want to stick with the same battery package for
Oh, yeah.
economy.
Skill has batteries?
Yeah, but they only have one tool with very expensive batteries. They're nice. I've used one. I don't know. No,
You want to do something really smart?
we're talking about. Well, that's like $100 battery right there. That's more than $100 battery, but I got them for like $80. Oh, yeah.
How'd you do that?
I bought like 20. So they were Black Friday, and then they didn't sell, and so left over. So the 3.0 and the 8.0 a pack for 160. That was a Black Friday, and then I got it for 120. So I bought
Then we
10
get that done
10
this time,
sets.
we'll be ready to go.
So it was like 65% off. Mostly just for me. I share a little
Hey,
bit.
John,
Yes,
is
sir.
that
You'll
good?
learn pretty
Is that
good
good guys over here too?
Yes.
No harder than-
Yeah.
There's a reason why I have a bunch of tools, all the tools that work.
It's the thing is like the cordless vacuums, the big cordless skill saw, stuff like that. They eat through an 8.0, just like a vacuum or a blower.
Like 20 minutes or something like
Yeah,
that.
even with 8.0s.
You can't charge them on the job.
I mean, you can, but when I leave batteries and chargers, they get stolen. So
That's
that
like $1,300 for the batteries right there.
yeah, with that, yeah, it was, but you know, it was definitely a splurge, but at that price, I figured, hey, I could resell them and, you know, make my money back.
Yeah, I guess they're good for a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm just gonna set it up.
Yeah, and I don't know, when I did more just finish work, and I was just working as a carpenter, I used to go and have all my drills set up, and, you know, I can, my shop, I don't switch bits. You just have a drill for everything, because it's so expensive to spend time switching stuff. If you're doing
Does
stuff for
anybody
the
want to
price,
practice cutting?
it really makes it.
Sure, yeah.
The blade's on the wrong side.
Just gonna cut.
He wants the rear hand. So I don't know. It's probably silly how I do it, but you know, it's a good deal.
Well, now you have a battery for every tool,
Yeah. What? I had all Bosch.
huh?
And
Plus extras.
I had my brother and my dad had all used Bosch. And I got them their hand down stuff. And when I was in LA visiting my dad, my truck got broken too. They stole all my tools out of the back of my truck. And I was like, I have to, yeah. It,
Hey, I got it.
yep. I can tell you how to fix it.
So hey, kicked me around a bit too.
And,
Me too. I got your gear, huh?
and,
Oh, you're doing your cross promo deal. Yeah. You up next?
and even though it was expensive, I was so used, I was used to having like 2 tools for every battery. So I go home and I charge all my batteries on the weekend. And I started with this and I had like 4 batteries and like 10 tools.
Ooh, nice. Keep it tight. Get the double workout. Keep it tight.
Yeah.
Challenged me to do sobriety, so I think I'm gonna stick through it, but I appreciate the offer. What do you got in there, Ricardi?
Well, when I buy a tool, I see how much it is when it comes with the battery. If it's not that much of a difference, I'll buy it with the battery. Yeah.
Pass into the window right here.
Yeah, when I got the set I did, I got that, I got an impact driver, a drill, a medium duty half-inch impact, which is nice. An 18 gauge brad nailer, a cordless router, and the router and the jigsaw, which is a really nice mix of tools. And I waited for a long time.
Wheels dug in a little bit, got rutted there on the landing. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You can just catch it.
See, I already have the impact in the drill.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So those sets is like.
They were selling the Makita, like a 10-piece set at Home Depot for, I think it's only $400.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's solid.
you get the blower, the orbital sander, the sawzall. I don't know if you get the rear handle skill saw, but you get one of them.
Came with the big blower or the small one?
I don't know.
Kind of hooked, hard to hook on that 2x4.
But I was a little, I was kind of like, shoot.
I bought a 4-piece set that you got free at Plano back in January. Yeah,
But I got a free tool. with
So
it,
there should be a line going up right next to the tail.
I used to get all my stuff at the, you know, they have that tool day thing at Buena. And they have Senorita Makita. I don't know, quite.
Senorita.
Yeah, you haven't seen Senorita Makita. And they have events there. They give away a bunch of tools and you get free bit sets and stuff. They have it once a year. They haven't had it because of COVID for the past 2 years. I believe in you. It's a, well, you can look it up.
Something, Patrick?
No.
I like how they're just listening to us.
They have calendars too, if you're into that. What?
They're just listening to us talk about the pool.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Say something?
No.
She was there?
No, she's there
Yeah.
every year. The guy I used to work for, he's like, every year, you have to get me a calendar. Don't go there without a cal. Here's the thing.
What a plan.
But no, my wife has gone with me a couple times. She gets so many free tools and stuff. It's incredible because, like, because I always did Bosch and stuff, which is nowadays it's such a small brand. We got a bunch of free tools, kit sets, all sorts of stuff. So it's worth going, and then they have their sales then too. So
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I haven't, other than Festool, which doesn't matter where you buy it, it's the same price. I haven't bought any tools in a long time. But
Festool's expensive. And insane.
well, it's not as bad as it used to be.
Flip the lunch flip. No, you love this one?
I do have some of the Panasonic stuff. Most of the stuff I give away.
You say Panasonic?
Yeah, remember Panasonic used to make stuff? They got
Panasonic made power tools?
yeah, they got Panasonic. They had
Yeah, so I don't even remember.
and then what was that was it did Mataba buy Panasonic? Is that who bought them?
I'm not sure.
They would have a marketing person up there.
You might want to watch past this piece of us talking about tools.
So you could have people working all around this thing. These two wrappers here, the layout on the
No.
plate.
See-through glasses.
Yeah, right.
If your living room has become your home gym, it's time to bring back the sparkle. Lightbox Lab Grown Diamonds.
We take it up.
Michael, turn your microphone off.
Let him speak.
He wasn't talking. You could hear what he was washing.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah, it didn't sound like his voice.
No.
Did you look at the model number for the rear handle?
There's a box over there.
No. Rear handle warranty.
My phone didn't like me looking at another tool.
You know the big rear handle Milwaukee?
Negative.
Negative.
Yellow.
So it's
Yeah.
Milwaukee rear handle.
my phone tries to give me shit. And he's got all like fucking
Yeah, that.
connecting and shit. And fucking, when he fucking needs something fucking cordless, oh, go grab it. I don't know, fucker, you want to start to go grab your cable.
Yeah. All right.
So he's getting a block for here. This one here is a short one. Here.
That one's
Short
stock.
You go here
There's no pin there.
to here. And then we only got one gun out.
I didn't get any out.
One gun out, one gun out.
I don't want to put the gun out right now. That's gonna go there. And that next one's gonna go here.
Pat,
And then the next one here.
you wanted the rear handle like this, right?
A white one?
What? Like I.
Yeah.
Okay.
How many?
Do it.
You like that, John? You doing it?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, you're the man. What else do we need?
Bunch of the stuff they have.
I don't know how much, I mean, I'll get 2 of those if we have it.
Yeah.
And I think we might.
I think these are less than 200 quarter.
No, I'm just so used to it. I'll think about it. I'll let Tom talk me into one. Usually has some idea.
Probably get some good deals right now, Patrick, for Father's Day.
Yeah.
I got some good deals.
I was going, hell, Father's Day, sale. What is it for?
How much is that one?
I think this one, I bought all this in, I think these are less than 200 though. I don't know.
Do you use the Milwaukee plates or use the Diablo?
I think I buy Diablo. I buy whatever, just at Home Depot and Wayne, I think. I don't know, if I saw them, I'd probably try it.
Hey, can you hand me that, sweet square? Sweet? Yeah.
We're putting 2 up right here, right? You need nails in the 2 rafters? Oh. Patrick, are we putting 2 rafters up right here?
Yeah.
Catalog number 2730. Why are all these tools /20? Is that the year they came out? I bought them in 2020.
269.
Yeah, and then when you guys get
Is
done,
it very cool?
come over.
Yeah, this is the rear handle, the new fancy one.
So we have. This one.
has
A little more control, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I always grip and I like, but if I have a really nice shot, I use my quarter rear handle. This, when it starts, still jumps a little bit, and the big old rear handle, it just, you can start it without having that old twist, you know? Especially being too, I don't know. I was taught kind of an old school way, so. Well, not as old school practice, but close.
Another one or is that?
Yeah, I got this kit and I have one, but it's not the fuel version. It's just the regular.
You like it, or?
It's okay. That one's quiet. It's like way quieter than mine.
No, overall, it's been pretty good. The only difference, my dad has a non-fuel one. And there's a very distinct difference. That light. And the light,
That makes a difference.
it's actually the best part of the tool.
Yeah.
Things like that, where, you know, I can go and cut something that's a little bit dark, like a roof frame or something, that I can see without having to get, you know, light up. And that makes a big difference to me.
Is it in a school right now? Probably, right? Use it more for wood. Put on this side, you're gonna.
So see everything right? Yeah.
Hey, the good news is the guy said they were gonna take away our trash, and they could take away that pot over there.
No, no.
And I asked him if he'd take that chair, and he said, yeah.
Another one?
Yeah,
Another one, Sam.
We got a whole bunch of that.
Right?
yeah.
Okay. Keep it going. Dude, that's the steel.
Yeah, you get these, 219, 162 on eBay.
Yeah, it goes here. So where should we put it? I guess we could stand it up on the outside of that. huh?
We're gonna put it today.
We might. So I would Yeah, anybody wants to unload plywood, come and help Dennis. Dennis, let's just pile it right here. Open the door. 5 sheets.
Right there,
Huh? Oh, okay, that's the way to do it. Don't. Yeah, okay, you want to put it here? Actually, I was gonna say move that. That was my original intention.
Yeah, I was kind of tripping over there, trying to get my.
Yeah, we'll pile them all here. What the heck?
All day, get out of the way of the excavator, I'm gonna come home to this.
Well, you can put it on that. Do it your way.
A lot of internet. Yeah, it makes me crazy, I can't stand it. I know. Someone took my
Hey,
job.
should they put that plywood here?
Energy is off.
No, it's okay.
No. It's gonna blow up. Well, can't go that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Good job, man.
What is it? It was a solar. Demonstrating.
Huh.
Back in the old days, I just get rid of it.
Oh, someone got a nice little cut out of it. Yeah, 3 minutes off.
Way to go, Carl. I was hoping someone would see that nail. This is one for, yeah, right there.
It's the Raptors and Goons fault.
Okay.
You don't want the Goons, you're not trying to hammer it all the way.
Hey, beautiful. Couple on each side here. One over here. And then there wasn't another. That one goes there. and then you have-
Too high. I guess that did.
Technically, it should be like an inch or inch and a quarter up. So.
He was all the way up here. That's where he was.
You should tell him something.
I did. I said he was too high. And then you chipped in.
Yeah. 35, 34.
So this is all gonna get smeared. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Right there.
We can do that. And one more. No, wait, hold on. Let's pick this nail out. Somebody's gonna go. You gotta do What, no, bend it. You're thinking of bend it all the way. You
And he has a weight limit, bro.
Oh.
And then you have
I won't ask your mom up, don't worry.
I know. We used to have a ladder that would reach that high.
Chilling on another story.
That won't be a track. I don't know if we can nail it down.
Maybe we could take it down, really make it look good. Duct tape. Hey, oh yeah. Who's got the saw? Who's got the saw?
It's on the bottom of the camera card.
It's, yeah.
Is somebody inside there? Maybe. Saw, supposed to get to that tail. Yeah, maybe some- either way. Yeah, make sure it's the thing's flat.
Yeah.
That was just in the way of bugging me. Somebody's just gonna hit it with their knob. That's great, that's great. I'll ask,
You do everything with a
okay,
sawzall.
so,
Yeah.
This is just a waste of time, man.
Can we pull that brace there? Go with that.
yeah, we're gonna have to, or we could saw it
Waste
off.
of time.
You got a sawzall?
There
There you go. See? There you go. Keep talking.
Everything.
Yeah, we'll cut that off. So, so let's mark the, wait, yeah. Let me get my, so, see that, there's Carly,
It's not marble though. That one inch, this inch and a half broad? Is that it?
No, that's brace. Well, you can cut out the skill saw.
No, it needs to be flush though. It wants to do it.
Oh,
Cut it like that. on the ridge.
Of course, it is brass, I don't know if it can be.
I believe.
God, if all of your tools have this thing on it?
Yeah. Yeah, cut it so the sheet.
You just take it.
You gotta.
Great job.
Yeah. Those make a big difference.
Yeah.
It really beats dropping them on the ground.
okay, so let's run this down to that end. And run it to the, not the bar drafter, but the one first regular drafter. Yeah, put it on the end, okay, great. Now hold it there. Let it up. to cruise. Now, let's say you get the hip, and then we run it the other way, and we get another line. See, I did this because we're gonna put the plywood from here up.
Not because we're gonna finish, just because.
Yeah. But we'll do the plywood from the line. So the way we sheathe, and we're gonna go over and do the rafters over there first, then we'll come back and sheathe. Is you take a line, the sheets are 4 feet wide, right? And you take a line up 4 feet from this point. Or if it's falling on halfway on your fascia, wherever the bottom distance is, go up 4 feet and go up another 1/4 of an inch and snap a line 4 foot, 1/4 of an inch all the way across. And that way, if your fascia is uneven at all, the plywood won't stick over it too much. Doesn't need to go all the way. Except you have a flashing of that gap anyway. So we'll do that. We'll come up 4 foot, 1/4 of an inch and snap a line. And then we then we go on either side. We put our first course down here. This is not much bigger than 4 feet, right? It's 5 feet 2. We're doing a mini little city here. So it'll go 4 feet, it'll be an inch, a foot and 2 inches up at the top.
Are we gonna cover starter boards, Patrick, or? For the eaves, starter boards for the eaves, so you don't see sheathing?
I'm sorry.
The starter boards, so when you look up underneath the eaves, you don't see.
God. No,
No, okay.
because we're mostly interested in the.
In just the California, all right.
So, but that's a good question, a good point though. So between the end of the rapid tail and the wall, when you look up, if we don't have a soffit that goes this way that covers, and we'll look at soffit and all that in the unit a couple of weeks away. But in California, we don't use, sometimes we use soffits, but often it's left open. And it's funny, the house Larry Hahn's working on, it's the same thing. It's an open eave, so it's probably California. You don't want to see plywood that's up above. So you put 1x4, 1x6 tongue and groove.
You do that before you sheet?
Yeah. Oh, and you go all the way up to, you know, to a point. It'll be beyond this. So that's where your sheeting will start.
And are you just end nailing it off to where?
Remember, it's on the top, so you wouldn't see the nails.
Oh, it's on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So
Sorry, I
that's
was
the-
confused for a second.
Yeah, no, that's the one you look up. To see.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice.
Gotcha.
Cool. And in the movie, you'll see it. They've done that everywhere. You can see it. Yeah,
Did you do that back east at all?
no, always a soft.
No, it was off it.
Yeah.
Huh.
So then do you sheet on top, you don't sheet on top of starter board?
No, that's why I explained doing the plywood from here, because in the window, there's already soft, you have to plywood all.
Okay.
Here you start.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So if there were joists, right, they could be either 16 or 24 or whatever it's in terms of height.
Yeah.
So let's say that, given the dimensions and the specifications, let's say that there is a and let's say there's a joist right here, just next to this.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So normally here, there would be like a block from here to there.
Yeah.
And then these joint ends there,
No,
or
those joists go all the way. They would be cut off from the main one.
okay, so for instance, here, we go to this side. And how do you call that, John, undercover, or how are you calling that?
The eve,
The starter board.
the starter board?
Starter board, yeah. Let's say it's a joist. Then the block that would go here would go nailed into the joist.
No, it would be, the block would be in this area, it wouldn't stick over. So it would be butt against that joist and against the wrap.
Okay, so if I look from underneath, I would see those boards.
Well,
on the roof,
see, yeah, see,
and then
this- none of this would stick above the rafter.
right, so this, not this, but if I see from here.
Yeah.
I would see those boards on the roof. I would see that board.
Now you gotta
Here.
get here, you gotta, John,
It only has to overlap on the top, like 1/3 there. So this could be pushed back.
yeah,
And then the
yeah,
board
but
would go.
1/3 doesn't give you a block.
Well, you do, it needs a minute before you do it.
No, but I mean, then you can get a whole block.
No, 1
Yeah, this is like in half, so, oh, yeah. no, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like that.
So, yeah, you would say, right, you would block.
Now, you really want this to be in half, stick your block in, but very, this one needs to sit up here, 1 3/4. That's like how you. And then, of course, you have to flip the top, flip the top of the wires.
And in the movie, he has a block also that comes in.
Like,
It is a great. Yeah, sometimes they'll put it at an angle, they'll stick it over, it's like, this kind of stuff.
If you live in poor areas of Santa Barbara.
I'm offering my work truck.
There were a lot of.
Yeah.
And there was like one odd colored nail in like the whole bunch. Like this one was like the upper. You just set it down like that. Your peel out your cheap stuff.
That's the lucky.
There's a lot, there's a lot,
Yeah, all the other ones got. But.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense if you think
Well,
you do it
yeah,
all.
I haven't seen it either, but that's good to know, some places they do it, but also now, you're getting more stuff on the outside of your wall, you're getting more insulation. In fact, there's no way to get enough insulation even in 2x6 wall. So you're gonna have to now.
When you're remodeling, they let you take, like, if you're gonna build a 1 meter house, you know, you need that R19 wall, you do that wall.
Yeah, yeah, what is it now? Is it still all right?
I think it's dense back, I think it's R21, but however, in pilot 24, you can make that work somewhere else, like, you never said that, like, I don't understand.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, they make trade-offs. But the trade-offs aren't always reasonable.
Yeah.
They're trying to allow more flexibility for the builder. But I mean, if you take Argite out of this wall, it doesn't matter where you beef up Argite somewhere else. This is still going to be weak.
From a past, I did, but yeah.
He's going to do blocking in this. He does doors part of that.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so yeah, so let's go over and put those rafters on the other.
Sorry to push you out of the way, but you're blocking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, I mean, it was a little personal.
Well, that's gonna go right there.
I'm sure Michael didn't notice.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
I'm not here.
So, yeah, the guys on the roof, they nailed the rafters and they just let them sit together. And then each guy on each end, there were two guys, this guy and his brother, Larry and his brother. And then they picked a ridge up and put it between, I guess one guy picked the ridge up and put it, and then he pulled the rafters open a little bit, and put the ridge in, and then muscled it and nailed it. God, that is the simplest way to do it, but it takes really a couple strong guys. And you have to be coordinated. I wouldn't advise it.
How long of a ridge was that?
It wasn't so long, it was maybe 10, 12 feet. Yeah, it wasn't a huge one. But when I saw him put them together, I thought, what are these guys up to? And then the guy just the thing up, opens it up and shoves it.
What size board is that?
It was like a, you know, a 2x10 maybe, as I remember. We'll say it. So we're gonna put these ones without tails. Sure. So we need a couple of people inside here with the nail gun.
What is it? Paint. Not paint my house.
And that's gonna go like that.
Fun?
And then we're gonna do the other side. Let's do it the way they did.
Yeah, that's my house.
All right.
Yeah, you're in the way.
Those things.
That explains that.
Yeah.
Take pride in that guy.
So somebody nail that flush there.
What are we nailing?
Make sure this is even at the end of that.
Oh, you gotta come out like a lot.
Well, I don't know if we have a lock.
Okay,
That's why I usually cut that even there. You know, that valley. I usually cut it off there, so it doesn't get in the way. Well, that's good. Then you want to. Oh, this part too. And then. So, yeah, there's nails in there. Hey, somebody get a hammer. We can just take it out.
There it is.
It seems like such a hard way to do it. It's a good way to do it.
I like your
Okay, we'll put
style.
it back.
Probably up for debate. I don't know. I've never seen it. Well, I've seen houses like that. I've never seen it done that way.
Like I said, this
Yeah.
video.
Let's-
There's 1,000 ways to do everything. There are. But it's so easy to frame a roof in California on it. You can just fake. You can fake the roof over.
Oh, yeah.
This is like real carpenter stuff, man. I ain't doing that.
This is where you want the attic space, is that you want above the ceiling.
Well, I just.
Yeah, I guess
The California roof is where you
Now,
This would only make a difference in the attic space if you had a sharp pitch roof, you know, like if you had a. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen a sharp pitch roof down here though.
Unless you have cathedral ceilings and you want that, if you put a window right here and you want that daylight.
Yeah, that's true.
I used to write articles for mailing for.
Yeah, because you can basically set that up like that as a, it's almost a,
But if you had a pitch roof like this, a low pitch roof, you're not really gonna have this detail on top.
yeah. I have, yeah. I don't know, I have seen it. I have it in my house. I don't know. No, I have full
So
length
we can
one.
just leave it, don't say it, just leave it. So we get the ridge right.
Like a lot of houses that
Let's
I've
get
seen
this
with
done.
with this have really high pitched
Doesn't
roofs. and
matter. Like,
There's actually a bedroom and that's a window to the
That-
bedroom.
those ones-
Yeah, or you could have, you know, like a gable, not a gable, what's it called?
We're gonna put the ridge in there.
What's it called when you have a little window
Like,
pop out? in the
height
roof?
wise, they seem to match here, but not on that side. Is that?
But we're not gonna sheet this side, so let's pretend it's
So we just need
Yeah.
to create the
Something went wrong.
reach right now.
not. Yeah, but we gotta put this
Oh,
one,
wait.
do the same thing on the outside.
Close to the wall.
Yeah, nail on the outside. Okay.
See, this is a method, the Larry Hahn method. I kind of like this because see, it kind of self-support, even with long ones, if you have someone up there kind of, or you
Yeah.
stick one and then you push the ridge up and it kind of blocks, kind of, you know, it's enough to get grab the hand.
Okay, other side. And this is it, will they just stay? Let go, see if they'll. Okay, so the ridge is out there, the one you did the double cut?
Oh, yeah.
That
That's
one.
there.
Oh, that one.
Oh, man. Still work.
No,
No?
Come on, John,
No.
ridge.
It's the one at the very bottom where the tape
It
measurement
says
is.
ridge on it.
see that?
This is what's making it more difficult.
Labeled, it's gray,
Don't laugh.
it's gray and ugly, oh, this is it.
It's ridge on it.
Oh.
Now, it goes this way, believe it or not, I don't think it matters, it's pretty straight. So,
I could have made it
Uh,
very
yeah, so. if you go back- Oh, we gotta go to.
Don't use your own trigger word, please.
Still more, right?
It's self.
Now, hold, Danny, can you hold that even with the top there?
Yes, done.
So I have a nail gun?
Now, I haven't, we're gonna just eyeball this, right?
Yeah, good.
So that's gotta be this one, huh?
You're pretty far on this side.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, this needs to be on this
You
side.
go up or what?
But he's doing that one rafter first.
That's not laid out, does that look straight?
No, you're on the wrong side of the line.
It's gotta go this way? No, just in term, is this wall gonna come up? No, that's not right, though. No, there's no line on there, that's not right.
Oh, John is
we're
lining
doing
it
by
up
eye.
with the wall.
Yeah, you're just flushing up this
Yeah.
side of the wall.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
Oh, okay.
There's a
sorry.
line
Okay.
there.
Wow, John, stop. There's no line.
So,
Stop moving. John.
So I have a nail gun?
no, wait, let's first, somebody run in and get a green level in the shop, you know where those are? I shudder thinking that this is gonna be right here level, but now normally that would, so we don't wanna move it.
We don't want to
Come on,
move.
you were asking for
No.
a nail gun.
I was asking you to.
But,
Nail it.
No, I'm
but I
holding it.
think
You
this
wanna nail it?
edge here is in the way. It's shaved
I
off.
think over
I
there,
think.
yes, I don't know. Well, let's wait. You gotta get in there with Patrick though.
Oh, okay,
Let's
okay.
just wait till
Yeah,
the
but
signal
right
right
now,
now.
I'm ready.
Ow.
It's okay, he's vaccinated.
He's vaccinated, you're good.
Let me know if I was off.
John, you're in the
So This
way.
one's gotta go down. Oh, it's the
How
other.
rude.
Wait. Make
You
sure
can go
both
back. I'll just
hips
move the cart.
are Even with the top.
Oh, go down and get it?
This should. Not even close.
Yeah, nowhere near.
Well, they gotta pick up so I can go down.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's what's holding it down. I think it's this.
This isn't.
It's this one. That's pretty good right there.
Nail it.
John, is this good right here? Can you tell? I might have moved it.
It's pretty close.
Okay, so somebody nail right in here.
He's got, give it to him. He's
Maybe
closer.
Ben
Look,
can read. I don't
He's
know.
closer.
No, Ben's holding it. Actually, Ben, you could nail it from the back, the ridge.
Here, there's the gun.
Give the gun to
Don't drop
Ben.
it.
Michael fix that, so we don't go.
Is that enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then come and do this one from the top, right here. Is the other side close to the top?
Kind of close.
Okay, hold on. Okay, let's get this first. This lined up. Probably gotta go here.
That's right enough.
Too bad it's not a Zoom picture.
How you looking, Ben?
Can't zoom in.
Ask him, he's with.
Okay, that's
Mike would be so
level
excited.
enough.
Close enough right there.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good, actually.
No, I didn't cut these, so you know, they're from last year, so who knows? But nail these two here.
This dude's not even watching.
You just
He's not even
separate it.
there. Oh, there he is. There he is.
Okay. Other side.
Now he's gone.
Are you good?
He laughed.
Dale.
He did actually.
Hey,
Yeah.
there we are.
No, that's good.
I think
Okay.
something happened. I don't think
So-
he mentally.
So
No, he's back now.
I don't think we'll do this unless people want to, maybe we will.
See
But well, I'm just pointing, let me point. So this wrapper here, we'd lay it out, it will hang on this valley. So it's called a valley jack. And then same with above, with that, Alec. Above Alec's head, there'd be one here. And that would be it, because this next one's gonna come down right here. In fact, that's what this one is. I think it'll just miss this. So should we put two of those in?
That's because you want your water to run down to the valley.
Okay, so then the trick is,
tail.
Patrick,
yeah,
Can't believe you kicked me out.
much lower than.
We didn't kick you out. We didn't touch the computer.
It's it has a motion detector. If it doesn't see anyone for an hour, it kicks you out. man.
it's all the same slope, the sand determines
You
the,
had a foot, right? From this ridge to yours. It's about a foot.
what was
I think we've just determined that Michael's just set up a loop on us.
the ridge,
Zoom.
the main ridge?
Yeah, this one was about a foot away from the main ridge. So it was like a foot and then it started.
What?
You want to come over here and point it out?
No, I understand myself.
So this is lower than that. So this is lower than the main ridge because this is less span. This is 6 feet instead of 8. If this were 8, like the other side is, and the other side, the ridge is going to go to the top.
If this was an 8-foot span, then you'd be able to run this ridge from.
Right, we just back nail it right into the main ridge, exactly. And we would on the other side, except we're doing a California roof, so it doesn't connect. But it will end up, you'll see it'll end up at the same place as that ridge.
Or just by design, if they change the slope on this little area, it can go up, right? If the rise is higher.
Well, you could, but the aesthetic is that all the slopes are the same. In the same house. But you see people violate that, and I think it shows. I'm one of those people that agrees with that tradition.
The other big problem with that is your faces won't plane in, because these will be way lower if you raise the
Oh,
thing.
that's right.
So.
Well, that's true too.
Uh-huh.
and
You
it
can
just
maybe
looks
figure that out,
ugly.
but if there's anywhere you can see these together, like at a fort, like out there, where you've seen both faces,
Mhm.
you'd see a difference in slope and it wouldn't look good.
Okay.
People do that. I mean, if you're building your own house and
Why
that's the
not?
way you need to do it, and so, but conventionally, they keep the same slope.
Okay.
So on this, is there a tape measure, a silver tape measure around? And how about construction pencil? I had one, but
Yeah. You can have this one, Pat.
okay, so what are we gonna do? Here you go. So,
Will that jack be included on the table, like on the book or not?
what's that?
Would those jacks be listed on the?
That's a good question. So,
Maybe a regular jack, right?
no, because the layout of the rafters here doesn't hit the end of the jack like. You've got to, the main layout has to be even and it doesn't work. Because this bulb out, it's just kind of arbitrary.
Right.
You'd have to figure out, you have to space exactly to make that happen. But
You could use the irregular jack out there, right?
well, yeah, you can, well, here's the thing, you could use different, but you just have to figure the first one. So we'll do that right now, but you don't need to do that. Is there another move?
You got it, you got it.
So if we want to go, so there's the first jack. We could just go like that, transfer that down. Okay, that's what the layout is. So the layout's going to be square with that. It's going to be here.
No, he's doing something in his garage.
And then we
He
could,
didn't mute his mic.
you could do the same thing now. You guys ever see those drywall squares that are T-squares?
Yeah.
Those are good
Like
things to
building
use
cabinets.
if they're accurate. Sometimes they get a little, they're banged up. But you can use that for like
Still
here,
mute your mic.
and then it would go all the way to here.
It's not muted.
You swear at the back.
No.
You can mute it though. So we
You
don't.
want me to?
You're doing.
So
Yeah,
what
dude, we don't need to hear what you're doing.
Okay.
Hey, is he really here if he's muted?
Um,
So you
Yeah,
can
go get the
use-
T-square. What?
Or you could just extend it with the. with the
It's
level,
nice to
right?
harass the people on Zoom
Well,
call.
what could we do to find this? To find the next space? Let's make a creative exercise out of this.
I would line up the.
So this distance is a distance of 16 on center jack rafters. So where else do we have 16 on center jack rafters?
Right here.
Well, and where
Oh,
else?
jack right there.
The
Yeah.
hip. So where those, the distance on the hip of those things would be the same distance here. Let's do that and see if it matches. John, keep going. So if you take these, I just, yeah.
This is great for the school policies.
Makes it-
What, T-square? Rounding your head with a T-square?
No.
21.
I would have thought. This one isn't really straight, but it is foldable.
Isn't it a square that's supposed to be straight?
No, it's
After
not.
drywall, who cares? You can just fill half of the gap and it's more.
Is this one turn,
Yeah, it's,
bevel?
yeah, and it collapses, so you can stick it in my side bin instead of having.
That may be too big.
You can shorten it.
Just, oh, can
You want me
Yeah,
to-
you can shorten it, any like, yeah.
Well, you can go up to 23 or 25.
Well,
So this is a,
that's good.
A lot of math in this.
So this is a little bit off, just the distance between those. A little bit more. But I would take this. Okay, and then we need a. which one was it? And then I need a, the square with the.
With the bolts?
Yeah. So that's not right.
Go get lunch.
That's
Remember when I got my,
supposed to be 7.
First one, or when I got tight.
This thing here?
Uh-huh.
No, it was 2021.
The angle.
The run here.
Is it 412 or
Yes, 14.
417?
No, I'm just saying that because it's the easiest science to get the
Now, why is that?
Because it's 417 on the end of the valley. In the hip.
What's that?
Isn't it 417 on the end of the valley?
Well, where's that level? Let's double check. It looks plumb to me. So, I mean, the thing about these is they're a little bit twisted. That's pretty close. I think it's 4. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
But that's confusing, yeah.
So it's a cup on the end of the hips and on the end of the valley, then 417. Because the hip and the valley is a different slope than the jacks are. The jacks are common slope. That is hip and valley.
Right,
slope.
right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so let's cut one
Uh-huh.
at, the top is 22 and a half
Yeah, you get more for it.
on the short side.
The short side.
So let's get a 2x6. Any 2x6 scrap? Don't use that new one. Is there any?
There's some over here.
Hey, that 2x6 scrap that Aurelio got that we didn't use, is that still there? No, that's 2x8. There should be a 2x6.
That one right there?
No. I don't want to take a. So let's see. 20.
Yeah.
One guy had one.
Oh, I need my camera assistant.
I know the problem is.
We're going 412? No.
I find that impossible. So remember, jacks are always like commons on one side or another. Either they're the same at the top or the same at the bottom. So the hip jacks were the same at the bottom. We could just use that bird's mouth, and they were cut at an angle at the top. So obviously it's different. The valley jacks, the top's the same, but the bottom's cut off by the valley. So that's, we just did a 412 for the top. And we want to come down 22 and a half. There. And that's where it hits the, and John thinks it hits that 417.
No, 412. I was thinking 417.
All right, well, one way to find out, right?
Cutting it.
Cutting. So that's the short side, right? This is 22 and a half. inches. So that means the cut's gonna go this way. That means you cut it that way, right? Later 45.
They're on.
They're on the back of the bag. No, that's the. This is what we want. Oh, no, you're right. We gotta cut this up straight.
He's there, don't worry, he's in
Yeah,
the
it's
side
the
working on
best, the
something.
best feature on this saw.
In the 7.
We've already bullied him about it.
That is a freaking great feature.
It's the
God, how
best.
many years did it take him to figure that out?
He got so mad, he decided to quit the
My-
Zoom
my-
and came right back.
I kept looking for somebody's arm holding the flashlight. And I'm going,
You kicked me out.
My dad
yeah,
has a
we kicked
non-fuel
him out. We
tube
didn't touch
business
anything.
one.
Yeah.
The first thing he was like,
Why does this keep
It's the
doing the
light.
mic thing?
yeah, it's a
Something wrong with the mic?
okay, so let's get
Oh, is this hitting the space bar?
Oh.
this side of the line, just right here.
You guys won't miss a moment. Don't worry. You're still muted.
We want him muted. We have background noise.
Hey, there's supposed to be participation, man.
Yeah, ask questions.
Maybe.
Do you have a question for Michael?
You guys aren't like this, but it's just Michael.
You okay?
Just watch out.
We know Michael's not even listening, so.
Hold it for a second, right there.
You know, it's one of those things where you say his name 3 times and he might show up.
Oh no, I've been listening the whole entire time. We just haven't said anything.
I think everyone has a concept, right?
You're smart, Michael.
So these you can just measure, get the layout on both sides and just measure top to top. And they are a 412 slope. Oh yeah, because this is vertical. You're right.
Yeah.
Hitting it vertical. And it's vertical there too. All right.
So on this valley, we would need one more here and then a little one here.
Yes. And then we have the valley jacks going this way. So we need, well, whatever the layout is. And this is going this way, so the layout doesn't have to correspond. Well, it actually should. So when we got these, we would take, this is the line to there. We just take a square and go from here to there and put the jacks opposite, like on the hip.
Your thing's on the
Going
power
that way,
button.
and this one is here, we do the same thing here. Even though this, because we don't know where this comes down, even though it'll crowd this next one, it's a short space, that's okay. And then what I would do is I would go from here, and then I would do layout. It doesn't matter. You could go from here over, you could start out there and do layout.
So smart.
But these should be opposite each other where they hit. Okay. I never write this down, and you know, every year, because I do it once a year, but you can kind of just reason it out. So if you weren't sure about this wood angle, if you thought it was a 417, like Ben was thinking it might be, cut a 417. These are small blocks, you can afford to waste them. Then you come in and it's just totally the wrong angle, then you go, okay, it should have been. Because it's kind of hard to reason it out too much, you know. All right, so let's put, is everyone good? Oh, you want to put the plywood on? What time is it?
Yeah.
Let's watch a movie. Let's put the plywood on tomorrow. So everybody take John's tools. John, here's yours.
Take them and hide
Yeah,
them.
take them home. Take them home. They're free tonight.
Take a drink.
California. Yeah, unloading the plywood was a hard thing.
The only problem I got is the Sawzall doesn't have the reciprocatory action.
Taking it off.
Goes back and forth.
Of course, you don't know if you can even, they can even help you. You can't even find help at Home Depot.
Then it's fine, and then you ask if they're free.
I went to Home Depot one time and there was two girls in the electrical section up in the rafters just hammering and talking and not doing anything. And me and my dad are just like, we need to get in here and look at something. Because you know they have to shut down the whole section. Well, oh, we're talking about the lazy people at Home Depot.
The goodies, yeah. There's still some, biscotti and, the drinks. Oh, I'll skip through a lot of it, and then we'll go to the California part, which is at the end. And we can always come back to this. We'll have to get places where we have some time, extra time. Okay? A week from tonight is, no, a week from tomorrow night is a thing on, alternate routes, green routes and stuff. And I'm having a guy who's coming in from, and we're looking at him as a potential teacher, so I'll put you guys for him. How to be nice.
This fall or potential future?
Well, in the future, he could do. If we needed a teacher. We could use him for that. Don't worry, I'll keep him after.
I don't know, it might be fun for Rodney to do.
Well, Rodney
class.
certainly as smart as I am with math, so he hasn't done it before, but I'd give him my notes and tell him I think it's important. But, you know, you can. I do the first half fractions. It's amazing how people need to be playing, remember the knowledge about fractions. The second half I do stair framing math and wrap math. So we did it the second time, so it's kind of practical. So we did some general geometry around it, you know, getting into it. Whereas these guys, we just kind of dug into it. So why is this doing this thing?
With DVD or something, says no input. You have to switch it on the
Huh? Right. Another way of saying it. I never liked these. Okay.
Half the class.
So, what's that?
You missed like half the class.
Is John Sesser?
What's that?
I think it all fits that.
So this guy's got a book. It is old school, but there's always a lot you can learn. So if you're really avidly learning framing and you want to get the views of these guys who they make this very efficient carpenter, I assume it's still this Taunton Press publishes just construction books, I think. Are there any landscaping books by Taunton?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's mostly construction. It could be the trades. It could have electrical, plumbing, and landscaping. I don't know. For a long time, they were the main press. Now it's sort of. But anyway, he's got 3 tapes that go with this. One on floor framing, one on wall framing, and one on roof framing. So.
Hey Patrick, do any of your classes deal with like concrete work at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jim's 110 first class.
Yeah.
He used to go do footings. You can sometimes see the remains of them around the canvas. And he would go to a part and actually do a footing and pour some concrete in it. So, and then if we have a project like Mike's, your place down at school.
Yeah.
That we had, it was on a slab, but we extended the front and the sides.
Do you know who did the slab for the greenhouse? By chance?
For the greenhouse.
Yeah.
Which one's the greenhouse? Oh, next to the, no, that was there. That was there when we got there.
It's not sloped for drainage.
Whoops.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad for the greenhouse. Huh?
Yeah, how would you fix that?
Not easily.
Could you cut?
Put the greenhouse somewhere else.
Could you cut?
Right.
Well, it's a big greenhouse. It's like.
Yeah.
Jack
20
one
feet
side
by
of the
50
slab
feet.
up.
Yeah, could you cut it to the drains to funnel the water?
Yeah, you can cut pathways for the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a way to do it.
You can put some leveling stuff in.
I don't know if that would hold, because they're only gonna raise it maybe an inch on one side.
There would be a lot of standing water and then algae and it gets real slick.
Can you put that down from like, say 2, you can even go 3 inches to 0, because what is it, 20 feet across?
Yeah, it's like 20 feet.
Most of them
wide.
max out about in inch to inch and a half per lift, so you probably could do it in one lift, and those, the newer ones go to nothing, but you're looking at like $18 to $25 a day for that self level. So it's it'd be pretty expensive, but it's certainly doable. You screen it.
Yeah.
I've done stuff like that, but it's a pain.
Because they don't have to go to 0, that's where it's kind of shady, where they could go to an inch on one side and 3 on the other. That's a lot of concrete, so.
Well, no, with self leveling, you can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's expensive.
But cutting channels would help,
Yeah.
You'll get a lot of it.
How deep would they need to be?
Not very deep,
No.
but you'd have to cut them. You have to make sure the channel slope a little bit too, right?
Right, yeah.
Has Mike been wondering about that?
Yeah. You want to do it with the class?
I can ask Jim, maybe.
That'd be awesome.
Okay, now this is an old TV. It's just got sound. What? Now,
It's coming out of the speakers just a hair.
I think isn't there a knob on the switcher?
We'll put the roof on.
yeah, I
Here's a
didn't need it
preview of
before.
what
I
you're
don't know
going to
what.
see.
How old do you think this guy is in the scene?
100.
You guys are good, are you guys a good estimators of age?
It's like, late 50s, maybe?
Yeah, at least that, yeah. I think he's in his sixties here. Oh, wow. But maybe not, maybe fifties.
Hi, I'm Larry Hong. This is the third in a set of 3 tapes, which accompany a book I've written about framing an entire house. Now, in tape 1, we built the floor. In tape 2, we framed the walls. Now, here in this final tape, we'll put the roof on. Here's a preview of what you're going to see. We start by laying out for the ceiling joists, then roll and nail them off. Next, we determine our rafter lengths. Mark the rafters, and cut them one by one. After setting the ridge, we can nail off the rafters. Finally, we sheet the roof.
See the.
We show how to join 2 gable roofs
One by
together.
on the end. Now there's the.
One of the things that most of us want is a roof over our heads. Well, we're about ready to build a roof on this house. But before we do that, we want to show you what that roof's going to look like. Here we have a model of just a simple gable roof. The main parts of it are this common rafter here. Then we have a ridge that runs the full length of the building. Here we have some ceiling joists. These ceiling joists and the rafters run 16 inches on the center. In between, we run some blocks. Now let's take a look at this common rafter in a little more detail. We've had to make a couple of cuts. Here at the top, we have a ridge cut. That allows this common rafter to fit right snug against that ridge. Down at the bottom now, we have a seat cut. We cut this notch out so this common rafter could fit right down on that plate. Now the pitch of this roof is 4 and 12. Well, what does that mean? It means that for every 12 inches that this rafter runs in on the level, it rises 4 inches. It's as simple as that. So how do we know how long to cut this rafter? Well, one way to do that is this. You measure the span. The span of a building is from the outside to the outside. Here we have 5 feet. Once we know that, we can use a book of rafter tables. We open it to the pitch, 4 and 12. Then we go over to the common rafter column, down to 5 feet, and we see that the length of this rafter is 2 feet, 7 5/8 inches. Now, that's the distance from the center of the ridge down this common rafter to the outside of the building. Of course, it doesn't include this rafter tail. Now back up here at the ridge. This common rafter doesn't run to the center of the ridge. So we had to shorten the length of all these common rafters 3/4 of an inch. That's half the thickness of this ridge. Back on these joists, you'll notice how we clipped this joist so it wouldn't stick up above this rafter. Now these joists are really important. They get nailed into this rafter. And actually, the rafter and the joist form a truss that help hold this entire building together. Now on this end joist, you'll notice that we didn't set it on edge, rather we laid it flat. That way we have backing on the underneath side for drywall. Round on this side, we cut a notch in it right here so we can slip in this common rafter. On top of this flat joist, we nailed in these big gable studs. These gable studs close in this whole end of the building. Right here now, we have what we call a sway brace. This brace keeps this whole rafter frame from racking back and forth. Here at the edge of the building, we've blocked in between these rafters. This type of block is held flush with the outside of the building. We had to rip it down a bit so it wouldn't stick up above the surface of that rafter. Now, down at the other end of this model, we run in a different style of blocking. This blocking, we run square with the rafter. That means you don't have to rip it down. And when you're running in siding or stucco from below, you don't have to notch your material around these rafters. Now, this isn't a complicated roof, and neither is the one that we're going to build up here on this house. We're gonna begin that process by laying out and nailing in these ceiling joists.
Okay, we're gonna skip that. Go back.
This is a good time to find lots of help. This is a glulam beam which supports the cathedral ceiling over the living.
Oh, you know,
Is set, the sun's out, and we're nailing off the ridge between the pairs. Up we go.
oh, here it
Raise the ridge beam high.
goes. See?
Now you'll notice that this rafter nail is only halfway on the ridge. That leaves room for the next piece of ridge. We want to make real sure that this ridge is level before we nail in the rest of our rafters. Here we got 62 1/4. We can make sure it's level by just hooking our tape on that joist, the bottom of the joist, and measuring up under this ridge. Here we got 62 3/4. Now that means this ridge on this end is a 1/2 inch high, so we got to drop it a little bit. We're going to do that by coming down here to the low end. We'll just mark it 2 before, right there, underneath that ridge to make a cut. We'll just tack this one in here temporarily. Now we go down to the other end and drop that. Here's another leg cut the same length as that one behind us. There's a 1/2 inch gap. We drop this ridge, it'll be level. Cut her loose, Joe. It only takes a slight adjustment to bring the ridge down to level, and then we can nail off this rafter. You'll notice it has no tail. That's because this is where the main roof joins the garage roof. We call a rafter without a tail a mule. Then I nail off the ridge post. These will also keep the ridge from sagging, so I like to put one every 10 feet or so. Well, the ridge is now level, so we want to make it plumb. To do that, we nail in a permanent sway brace. Now, to make this ridge plumb, all we have to do is move the rafter over till it barely touches this long straight edge, just like that. Go ahead and nail it, Joe. Now, you can see we placed this sway brace so it doesn't fall on the rafter layout. That's it. Good. Here we go. Working efficiently means we set all of our ridge before going back and nailing off the remaining rafters. Well, all our ridge is set, the sun's out, and we're nailing off the common rafters. Joe picks up each rafter to make it easier for me to nail here at the ridge. Holding the rafter flush with the top of the ridge, I drive in 2/16. About every 10 feet, Joe drops down and nails off a rafter at the plate line to help hold the ridge straight. Later, we'll come back and finish blocking and nailing. When nailing the opposing rafters, no need to toe nail. Angle the 16s through the ridge into the rafter. We're nailing off the rafters at the plate now, and here's how it goes. First, one of the blocks with the bevel on top is positioned. It's nailed off with 2/16. Then a toenail into the plate.
See that? One head.
And 3/16 into the joist where they left.
If it is elbow joints are wrecked.
Then 2 nails to hold the back end of the block. Here it is again. Block is placed. Snug up the rafter. Toenail into the plate. Nail off the block. Nail the back.
See,
And
that's,
turn around then and finish off the block.
that's as fast as a nail gun, really. But Took this guy 20, 30 years to get that.
That's the code, and that's the way it goes, all the way down.
See, the garage is the thing that's tying into the thing, so.
We're marking. Next to fascia. Fascia hides the ends of these raptor tails.
Yeah.
Once these raptor tails are cut and our fascia is nailed on, it's going to be perfectly straight.
So he snapped the line.
On this model, we want to give you a 14-inch overhang. That's why we made a mark at 12.5 inches, because our fascia is 1.5 inches wide. Now that we've got it marked, we're using this piece of raptor template. It has a 4/12 plumb cut on it, and we're marking our raptors.
So that's a difference that he and I have, is he uses that template to cut all his vertical lines. But if the boards have any difference in crown, they'll be coming down at a slightly different angle. So if you use that template, the template will go with the top and will be slightly, the plumb line will be slightly different. If your rafters are all pretty straight, you don't have to worry about it. But if you're using old wood and you have a little bit of change in the camber of the wood, then using a level would be better.
Once they're all marked, we'll just come back and cut them.
We did that, our outside bar.
You'll notice we cut them
45
later at the end of the bar track. This makes for a neat joint with the fascia.
So
And we nail it together with galvanized.
see, he lined up the top, right? The outside corner, the top. But because this is at an angle, this is a diagonal, this isn't a straight. The straight cut will go like this. So this piece is gonna be longer at the bottom, see that? Because it's at a diagonal. This is a 90 cut here. This is a diagonal, so it's slightly longer. So what they do is, usually they just cut this off level. You don't notice, you don't really notice it too much, but there's not much else you can do actually, so.
It's finished now.
He's got finished nails. That's called the nail set, everybody.
You'll notice how right here, we held our fascia down almost a 1/2 inch below this raptor tail. That way, the fascia factors, we've got fascia. Well, leachages, because our fascia joined with the fascia. And we nail it together with galvanized finish nail.
So see, that's that's at an angle, that one was going down. If you don't stitch it, this one's pretty straight.
You'll notice how
Got no
right
head
here,
to keep it
we held our
out,
fascia
so it
down
could-
almost a 1/2 inch below this.
It could open
raptor
up.
tail.
So a lot of
That way-
people use, and he's gonna use, I think he uses, I'm not sure here, but people do use headed nails and not finished nails, sometimes do that. And if it's painted, you paint over it, and you won't see it. If it's stained, you may see it a little bit, but often it's, the roof's so far away, you really don't see the head. And that extra head will keep the board from coming out a little bit better than a finished nail. There's a couple of systems of belief on that.
The fascia planes in with the pitch of the roof. So when we put on our sheeting, you can see how everything comes together real nicely.
So we could go 1.5 inches out from our, where we cut the rafters, start our fly.
After snapping the line and cutting the lookouts to length, Joe and I hang the bar tractors. They're 2-bay cedar, the same size as our fascia. Make sure you're well braced before leaning out over the edge. We nail off the 16-penny
But look at
galvanized.
this. This is gonna be a finished rafter, right? Because if you do a 1x8 finish grade, you know, with no knots, then you usually put a smaller barge on. There's no reason to have it the same width. But this one's the finish, and look at it. Did you see that little bit of wood? You know, it's not the nicest piece of wood, of board.
Put the
It's quite
ridge
interesting.
and 2 into every lookout. The ends run wild and will be cut later.
Now, I didn't talk about that either. You always cut, well, you don't always, but if you can, cut from the top, because gravity, that heavy saw you're lugging around, gravity will pull it down. So you have to be careful. You're walking on plates, stepping over rafters, so it's a little more dangerous. But if you cut from the bottom, then you're gonna get sawdust, you're gonna be on a ladder, you're gonna get sawdust in your face, and you're gonna have to move the ladder, either every one time or every two things, so it's a lot more time consuming. So most people cut them from the top. And you have to realize what, which way you're cutting. So he's facing this way. So he's probably walked from here and he's cutting them to his right. Usually if you're right-handed, that's what you do. If you're left-handed, you might want to walk the other way because your left hand's a good hand. So you have to put the line that you're going to cut on the side. You don't need to put it on both sides. This just takes twice as long. Put it on the side you're going to cut. So he's only put the line, the vertical line on this edge of each one and not on the other. If you were left-handed, you were going to walk the other way, then you put it on the opposite side so you could see it. So you need to know which way your saw cuts, what handed you are, so you know where to put the line. And then just let gravity take it down. It's so much easier.
Next to fascia. Fascia hides the ends of the rafters and gives a trim look to the house. Here's a mitered corner. And again, we're using hot dip galvanized 16. Eventually, we'll nail off our fascia with 2 nails into each rafter.
See, he's using heavy
You can
nails
see
there.
here how we hold it down a ½ inch, just like on the model. On the long run fascia, joints are mitered and nailed at a rafter tail. Even if the wood shrinks, the joints still look good. Well, it's not long now. We have sheeting on this roof. And all this rain we've been having will keep on the outside, not on the inside. Now, we're out here in the garage, but all our eaves from below, they're open. So instead of running the sheeting material clear down to this outside edge, we like to cover these eaves with a starter board. Here it takes 3 pieces. That way, when people look from down below, they'll see a nice looking piece of wood. Once the starter board is on, then we can sheet the rest of the building with the sheeting material. You can sheet your overhang with plywood, but for a more trim look, use these long lengths of starter board. And if you need to butt them, do it over a rafter. On the gable ends, we run the boards in the other direction, across the lookouts, and cut them in place. Finally, we can sheet the roof. The first thing we do is snap a control line at 48¼ inches above the starter board. These are sheets of ½ inch OSB, oriented strength.
Now, we talked about that out there, but the 48¼ people use different than 48½. But your starter board may not be, especially if it's tongue and groove. He was using shiplap there, but people use different things. But you may not be able to get a straight line. You know, you're putting a groove, and sometimes those are a little wavy. And if you just put your plywood against that, your plywood's going to be wavy too, and it won't join well. So you want a straight line you're going to start with. So if you go 48¼ that quarter takes care of any waving in that starter board. And then from there on up, it's all in a straight line and coming down. So that's why he does that. If you don't think it's very straight, you have really crappy wood, then you could lengthen it to 48½ or 3/4 or whatever. Just a minute. So because otherwise when you get to where it is, you've got a straight line and the starter boards come way in and the plywood's actually going to lap on it. I mean, you can cut the plywood if you have to because it's over the block, so it's not the end of the world. But
And that little gap just stays there forever. Like on some areas it's gonna be 1/4, some other areas it's gonna be an 1/8.
yeah, no, you won't see it because the roofing material will cover it up.
Right. Okay.
You have when you put, well, any kind of roofing, you're gonna have to put a flashing It's gonna go back 3 inches, so that covers that area.
Board and engineered wood. Plywood is also commonly used. We nail them down with 8-penny sinkers. The end of the building, we often have to make a cut. Just slap the panel you're cutting over its neighbor, snap a line, and make the cut. But the saw set to the right depth. We also snap a control line for the first course on the main roof. We work each panel to the line, lapping the ends of the middle of the rafter. If it's off a bit, nudge the rafter over and nail it in place.
Let's go on. We're gonna have it actually.
We
have
eyeball an
a
angle
unit
cut
on
at one
sheet.
end, position it, and cut. It's actually a very simple process. I'm lapping the ends of the middle of the rafter.
I guess.
If it's off a bit, nudge the rafter over and nail it in place.
Now, see, he's on the very end of the edge of the
And as we
roof.
keep sheeting, we
pulling
make
up a
sure to
piece of
stagger the
plywood.
joints
It's
by
so
starting
ocean
every other row with a
unbelievable.
half sheet.
He could easily trip and fall on. He should be tied on at that point. So here we go with our California roof. So see, he's got the garage already framed and that ridge is already there, so he's just gonna extend it. Which would be a lot easier than what we're gonna do. We're gonna put the whole roof on at once.
We've got enough of our roof sheeting down now, so we can tie these two roofs together. It's actually a very simple process. The first step is to extend this ridge here, the garage ridge, over to the main roof. When that ridge touches, then we can mark it for length right here. Then we have to get a level cut on it. That's simple. Mark it like that. That gives you a level cut. Once that ridge is cut, it's going to look like that. And then we'll have a belly, one that runs down each side. The first thing we do is nail our ridge at both ends. Then snap a line where the blind belly will be. We're using scrap 1:6 for our belly support. We eyeball an angle cut at one end, position it, and cut an angle at the top end. Now, when we nail it down, you'll notice that we hold it back from the chalk line about 3/4 of an inch. That way, the sheeting on top of the jack rafters will plane in with the rest of the roof. To get the bottom of the jack rafters good bearing, we double up the 1:6 supports. Here's our rafter pattern for these jack rafters.
So the reason you put these 1x6s on is because if you didn't have the 1x6 on and you're just gonna nail the bottom of the rafter onto the sheathing, you might not hit it, there might not be a rafter, you might be between two rafters, and you'd be just nailing into the oriented strand board, right? And that wouldn't be very secure. So the odds are you're not gonna hit a rafter, they're 2 feet on center often. So they put these on, so these you can nail, those at the course of the 45 will hit a bunch of rafters because they're going at an angle. So you nail the 1x into the rafters underneath, the rafters that are part of that first roof. And then you can nail this to the 3/4 inch 1x and through the orient strand board so it's 1.5 inches, so it's good meat to nail it. That's the only reason you do that. Otherwise, you could just snap a line and have these nailed right on the roof. So see how they're coming down? They're cut at an angle. They're cut at a double angle. They're cut at the angle, the bottom that's gonna be level when the rafter's in place. And then they're also cut, because this roof's going downhill this way. So it's a compound cut, so it's cut at an angle this way, and then it's cut at an angle across here. I think you'll feel that. And then you hold back the 1x, he estimates it, and this is a 412 roof, so he's probably done this a million times, so he doesn't have to measure it. In the past, I've shown students how you can, how you can just set up with a block and a couple pieces of wood and find out what that distance needs to be. For the board on top, the plywood on top, to hit that line. So you hold it back so the plywood, because the plywood's a little bit higher, and it's gonna hit that line right there instead of going over that line. So it looks like it's about 3/4 back. These things aren't an exact science, so we can do that, but next week I'll show you how you can figure it exactly if you do that. He just does everything by estimate. This
is our level cut. Here's our plumb cut. It's going to fit just like that. We measure the length of our first rafter here, 54 inches. We give ourselves a mark right there. We'll put a level cut on that, just like that. Now, a bridge cut or a plumb cut right up here at the top. Okay, this gets cut.
So another safety feature, schools, when you teach this stuff, they have their own safety stuff they try to get the students to learn. It rarely coincides with what happens in the real world where you have bosses that want the thing done yesterday. So cutting on your legs, like he was doing, cutting on your feet is usually, they're supposed to teach you not to do that. Always put it on something solid like a sawhorse or another piece of framing. But you don't always have that luxury. And as long as you're sane about it and go about it in a safe way, it's not a big deal cutting on your foot, right? Just that you've got a live blade near your foot. That's the reason they don't like you to do it. But let's watch how he does it. And you could see this one, he's pretty far away because, well, for one thing, he's so tall, his legs are about 8 feet each. And so there's a place in here where he snaps a line, holding one end of the line with his foot, and he spreads out. And I swear it's like an 8-foot section. Oh, God. But it's a perfect body for framing. He cracks me up half the time. Let's see if we can find that where it cuts by hand.
From the chalk line, about 3/4 of an inch. That way, the sheeting on top of the jack rafters will plane in with the rest of the roof.
We'll see if ours comes out of that.
To give the bottom of the jack rafters good bearing, we double up the 1 6 supports. Here's our rafter pattern for these jack rafters. This is our level cut, and here's our plumb cut. It's going to fit just like that. We measure the length of our first rafter here, 54 inches. We give ourselves a mark right there. We'll put a level cut on that, just like that. Now, a bridge cut or a plumb cut right up here at the top. Okay.
So
this gets
that
cut.
board's actually got some support, but look at he's holding with his hand like that.
Now we have to set this at 18.5 degrees.
When you do that, because it's
That's the
fast,
pitch
just
of the
make sure
roof.
your hands and feet aren't near the saw blade. See there, he's honest with you with that little bit.
One by one, we measure, mark, cut, and nail into place. A couple of 16s through the ridge into each one, and 2 16-penny toenails into the supports. This is one fairly easy way to tie the 2 gable roofs together. We're ready now to cut this sheeting to fit into this valley. Now, one way to do that is just move it over till that lower end touches the main roof. Then here at the top, you can measure straight across until your tape touches the roof. We got 44 inches. We'll transfer that measurement down here to the lower edge of the board, 44 inches,
Oh, here's, but watch him,
and we'll snap a chalk line.
watch him put his foot on.
Once we cut that, it's going to fit right into the valley, and we can use this cut off end for a pattern to mark the rest of our boards.
See, it's right on the line.
Now it's just a matter of cutting and filling in the rest of the piece.
I've seen people want to even bevel the edge of that plywood when it comes down, so it actually goes right in perfectly. But you're gonna put underlayment in that valley before you shingle it. There's gonna be a lot of crap protecting that valley, so it's not gonna make any difference. You're not gonna see a straight line at all. It's gonna be a little swale by the time you get done with it.
So some roofs have venting on the ridge. Would you leave a gap in the?
Yeah, good
the
question.
sheathing?
Yeah, well, actually, I forgot to talk about that. We'll talk about that. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, so if you have ridge venting, which you would have if you have a cathedral ceiling underneath and you've got nowhere else for the air to vent out except through the rafter bays to the top, and then it's got an exit somehow on the top. If you have an attic, you know, the air comes in through the soffit or through the blocks that he's doing. And then the attic's usually got a vent on each end, so the air is blowing through and the air comes up and out. If you have a cathedral ceiling, you have to vent through that. And you have fiberglass in that rafter bay. And so you have to use these things, these vent things, I'll show you next week, that make sure there's a little space for air. They're shaped like this, and you just staple them up as you're going, and then you put your fiberglass in there, and it leaves a channel for the air to go through those cathedral ceiling rafters. And then you have to have a ridge at the top, and you have to have an opening for each rafter bay. So you hold this plywood back about an inch. I'll see what, and then there's a piece of, you can get roller straight. It's called ridge cap, and it goes on top of the plywood. And it has a vent in it, and it looks kind of nice on top of there. And then you can shingle right up. Actually, you shingle first up to it, then you put it over it. And you put shingles on top of that cap, so it blends in, and all you see is the side, a little grill is bent. So I've got all those pieces here, I'll show you. It may be in a future lesson, but I'll show you one of these weeks. Good question. And then that all becomes a question, I don't know what the fire laws are for that. Because they've really been afraid of open vents where sparks can get into the house. You know, once your roof's on fire, you can sort of forget about your house. And when they have vents under the eave, a lot of times fire will push wind up there and little sparks, and they'll get in that vent and light your attic. So they have changed the laws where your vents have to have zigzag passages so the sparks can't just go straight in. They'll hit one of the walls and that. So maybe they've done that with the, I'll check, see if they've done that with the ridge vent piece, made that. But yeah, the fire area was really, they realized that roofs are getting on fire because of the vents in under the eave. Yeah, this one, it's a garage, so there's an attic. So here you can see all the.
How does he know where to nail? Is that just?
He may have snapped lines, I can't see, but that's another good question. So when you have to nail the sheeting on, you don't know where the rafters are, right?
Right.
So.
You know, it's a great feeling when the roof is finally sheeted.
So at the top, you can mark before you even sheet where the two rafters go up, mark across the ridge where each set of rafters hits, the center of those. So you know at the top. And then at the bottom, there'll be usually a gap between the, well, before you sheet, of course, it's open. do the same thing, mark the top of the fascia at the center of each rafter, and then you can snap a line between them. It's really wise to snap a line because there's no way you can tell what you're doing. You only got 1.5 inches to hit. There's no way you're going to do that consistently. So I'm sure he does that. He just didn't show it.
Does it OSB that you can buy now have lines already put on it?
Yeah, some plywood and OSB has lines, and I've never used that, but I assume that works because you split a rafter, and so it's always everyone's going to have the same layout. It'd be 24 inches to the center of the next rafter, or 16. So they probably have 2 layouts, 16, 24, printed on the OSB. So yeah, that will work. Providing you're always splitting the rafter evenly, as soon as you screw up and things get a little off, then that. But then you can, if you're hitting the lines and it's missing, then you remember where that joint was, and you shift over a little bit as you go.
Basic framing is finished. There's not long now, we'll have shinglers here. Now, Joe and I, we've been carpenters for a long time. But there was a time when we didn't know how to build. An entire project like this, framing a whole house, in a way, it is pretty complicated. But it's true that complicated projects are made up of simple steps. And what we learned how to do, you can learn how to do.
Man, a few words. Don't you love that guy? We'll look at a little bit more of the joisting and some of the sheathing. We have our truss unit has a space for talk about sheathing. So can someone get the lights back there for a second? So what do you think of that video? Awesome. Good. It's pretty good. Those guys, it's even though we have nail guns now and a whole bunch of tools to help short circuit that, it's really great to see craftsmen that really are good at their craft, And it's just the guy. You notice he doesn't make an inefficient move. Every move directly picking up something, seeing something. He's been doing it so long. Like he's like a robot. We're talking about robots. He's just like a machine. He has it so figured out, and he's done it. And that's why he probably never gets tired or worn out, because he's so adept at being everywhere. No wasted energy at all. But I mean, those arms. He's a thin, lean guy, and he's obviously strong, or he couldn't do that. But I don't know what. I think I might look up his biography tonight when I get home and see if he was okay. They don't talk about how many visits to the hospital he had to reset his poor elbow. But God, talk about tennis elbow, Jesus. I mean, and they didn't have ergonomic hammers back then, They weren't designed in a way that kind of shifts the load on your arm. Now we have all kinds of things, including softer handles and stuff. I mean, a lot of people still use wood, but there was a craze about 10 to 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, where they came out with all these new ergonomic hammers. You'd go to a lumber yard and there'd be this like board, and they had like 50. Like everybody was making hammers, and they were supposed to be the ones that saved your arm the most. Oh, it was so insane. I mean, they had the weirdest looking hammers, and we all bought the ones we thought were good. And then not too long after that, nail guns came out. They'd been out a long time before they were used everywhere. People used them, but they would use them for big projects. And if it was a little project or pickup project, people would just go and do stuff by hand. That existed for a long time. So you still had to learn how to hammer. But then now it's just, especially with a battery, you don't need to lug in a compressor or anything. People do pickup where there are only a few people going back to do odds and ends. They just take their gun, and there's no, and it, you can admire that old coordination and beauty and elegance of the hammer, but you also have to realize that that's really hard on your arm to go a lifetime of pounding. But it sure is fun to watch. I mean, maybe some people are lucky and they're just built so that that stuff doesn't happen, but most of us get screwed up. Let's face it. So yeah, now the nail guns, they're cordless. you know, there's so many great things now to save your body. It's really worth investing. You know, you may not be able to do it at first, but as you get into this, if you stay into it, especially framing, it's really good to get good tools. And the tools are all the time saving your body. It's really great. And so, but it's fun to look at that guy, isn't it? Yeah, he's pretty good. It's funny, everybody, well, Jim likes him and Rodney likes him because we're all that age, you know. And that was kind of our world for a long time, but he even though there's variations in how people do stuff, he pretty much has that sussed how to frame roofs, you know. You have to hand it to him. So any questions? Yeah.
How long does it take to frame a house like that?
God, with those guys, not very long.
Just an average size
With
house.
this class, maybe a few years.
Well, yeah, with this class of years, you know, it really varies on the crew size.
Yeah.
It's hard to, you know, if twice as much crew, it's gonna be half as much, so it's, but anybody work on a house they've just framed from beginning to end? I haven't done it in 10 years.
There's a house being built at the bottom of my street, and I think they framed that house pretty quick.
Yeah.
It went up in maybe a month.
If you have a decent crew and you've been doing the same kind of house for a while, which people get into that kind of thing and they're known for that kind of house, and so they get hired for that, they just blitz through it because it's the same each time, you know, slight variations. And
Like track homes.
like track homes, I mean, you know, even if they're not tracked, well, there's a lot of track homes in this town, but even if they're not tracked, they're often still done a lot alike. And the learning curve's the thing that slows carpenters down with new things that they have to stop and scratch their head and solve the problems. But if there's no learning curve because the crew's been along on that type of work long enough, they go up pretty fast.
How lucrative is it?
Well, I think it's most lucrative if you're a contractor that does everything.
Right.
You know, if you're just framing, framers get paid a little bit less than, well, not less than, well, no, they get about the same carpenters, but I think the bid's less than, because it's a part of a house. And it's kind of it used to be considered less skillful in finish work. But if you look at this guy, it's not much less, you know. And I bet he does really great finish work too when he does it. And I'm sure he's done it delightfully. But yeah, framing's always been like the lesser when I went through, but maybe it's changed now. I mean, it takes a lot of skill. And you get companies that the rest of the subcontractors like because they do a good job. And then there are companies that subcontractors hate, like you'll hear sheetrock guys go, oh shit, not a job by Foster and Utt, you know, I mean, God, those guys are the worst framers and makes their job harder because nothing lines. Yeah, stupid. So it's nice if you do work that all the subs like, and then you know, people work better for you and stuff. So that's another phase of framing when you get to a point where you're doing it so well that the people that work around you, you know, appreciate it. But you know, finish work's nice because it's not heavy, you know, it's easier on your body. But framing's like playing with blocks when you're a kid. It's just everything fits in the right place. It's such a satisfying thing to frame. So I totally understand why people want to remain framers and not go into finish. You know, it's harder on you, but it's just such a, you know, it's like Tinker Toys. It's like putting things together, Lego, that just fits. So anyway, okay, so let's look at next week. I want to go over blueprints, but I'm going to put those in when we have an empty space. It doesn't have any timely way. Next week, we're going to finish the California roof. And then the time after that, we have the, also we have some time to finish the roof. So, but then we're going to talk about cornice and soffits and stuff. Maybe we'll do the blueprints then. Then we have roof trusses and roof sheathing. I want to do a stairway lesson for some of the guys. I told them I'd do it, but I think we'll have time that thing. And then the week after that is when Daniel Bell's coming up to do the alternative roof. And then we're just about there, final prep and we're done. Okay, guys, good work out there. We're in a good place. So I will see everybody tomorrow. Oh my God. Yeah, let me keep rolling. It's tomorrow. Are you sure it's not next? Are you sure it's not next week?
We can do it next week, like 3 days.
Okay, hold on. Where'd my glasses go? Jesus. Alec.
Here.
Louis.
Present.
Benjamin.
Present.
Hey, Mark. Dylan. I know some of you are here. I'm just going down the road. Kevin Nolasco. Oh, you're here. What? Were you here? You were here last night. Oh, you might have left early before I took roll.
Wait, yesterday?
Yeah,
No, Monday. Monday. I was.
you weren't here Monday.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
You were here.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure. Carla, you were here. Josh. Joshua. Joel.
Wasn't that guy Josh online? I thought you mentioned.
Yeah, Josh was in Canada.
My God.
Why is Josh online?
Yeah, I heard his name.
I think he's building cabins in his garage.
He's working late. He's not out of town.
Because it wouldn't let me, the health survey.
The health service said he couldn't come in.
Jose.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you're.
What?
John Capia's here and
Yes.
Aurelia and Dennis. What did he say?
Is that how you do it?
The health survey didn't let him in.
No, well, I've been sick. I've been sick the past. Sorry,
No.
honestly.
You know, that time I answered everything wrong on the health survey, I was in a hurry and I put all the same circles, but I put the yes circles. So I was like a walking time bomb. They told me not to go to school, but then they got back to me like a week later.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going, oh, some great service that is. I could have affected the whole school in that time. A week later. I said, no, don't worry, everything's okay. You know? Right away, I told them so they wouldn't panic. I said, no, I made a mistake. Everyone's fine here.
What is Michael taking the health service?
Okay. So, you guys getting your vaccine?
No.
I went to Costco today and they had a sign, go get it. You can walk in anywhere now.
My
Almost.
friend ordered it online.
Yeah. So unless you've got religious reasons not to take it, political reasons don't count. Unless you've got religious reasons not to take it, which are legitimate, go take it. It'll just make things easier for everybody. And they're free and they're everywhere. So if you've been putting it off because it's a hassle, don't do that. All right, everybody. Good class. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Patrick, I'm not gonna be able to make class tomorrow. Just give you a heads up.